Hi, my name is Robin Scully. I live here in Latonia, and this is my story. I'm the youngest of 8 siblings and the only girl, so just, a family full of brothers and full of liveliness. I grew up in the greater New York area. That's what it's considered. Everybody always meshes New York and New Jersey together. And I think because of where I grew up, it's right there on that border. So I had a lot of opportunity to spend time in New York as well as in New Jersey. But it was, it was a very tough area. It was, something that I think society would consider the hood, if you will. So, you can't walk the streets at night, because, you never know, what can happen. Here I am, this kid that grew up on these rough streets who was thinking, well, is this what life is going to be like for me? I knew that there was definitely more out there. I wasn't sure at the time, how do I get more? But one of the things that my mom always instilled in us was the want. You have to want to do better. You have to want change. And you have to want, to really take the steps to really change, your environment and your circumstances. So I think that drive really stayed with me throughout my adult life. From that kid growing up, on the rough streets of New York and New Jersey, all the way up until now. After high school, I took a little bit of time off because my mom started to experience some healthcare issues. Not a whole lot of time, but it was important for me to make sure that she was stabilized before I, went off to school. I was accepted into Seton Hall University while attending Seton Hall because, obviously the cost was great, and it was a huge concern to myself as well as my mom. So at that time, I decided that I was going to work full-time because I was determined. I wasn't going to let anything stop me. And I knew that if there was a will, there was a way. And my way, was the opportunity to work full-time while still attending class. While I was there, I had met my husband. And at the time, we had decided to relocate to here in Kentucky. So it took me a total of about 5.5 years to really finish up my undergrad degree. So I ended up getting an undergrad degree in organizational leadership. And then thereafter, about a couple of years or so, once I was done, I decided to pursue my graduate degree, which I did. So now I do have a master's in human resources management. So I work for a company called Diagnostics. That's here in Covington. We are a CLIA certified laboratory where we do testing for COVID-19, toxicology, upper respiratory, as well as sexually transmitted diseases. And my title is a Human Resource Business Partner, or an HRBP. So in HRBP, you will find that title within the Human Resources Department. The Human Resources Department is a unique dynamic. So our employees will come to us when they have questions or concerns. And my job is to really help that employee to overcome those challenges or to answer the questions that they may have. And sometimes that can be, just providing resources, giving, some advice, or just having somebody to, to just talk to, so that's what we're here to do. We're here to help our employees in any way that we can. So why is my role important to Gravity, especially being in a science field? Well, it's really simple. We provide a very unique service. We service and we change, many lives of people. And we service, obviously, the community at large. And knowing that it's really important to have the right people in the right place at the right time. So my role as an HR business partner is to make sure that we have those mechanisms in place so we can provide the answers in which people are seeking from us, not only effectively, but expediently. It's important for any reputable establishment to make sure that they have a solid and skilled, HR department and HR professionals in place to make sure that those initiatives are fulfilled. So the type of talent that we look for here at Gravity is those that really have a desire and an interest in science. The positions that we hire, run a full gamut from those that require degrees to those that are non-degrees. My favorite part of the job is really the people, and being in human resources, it's usually about people. The fantastic part about that is that I get to really work with a mosaic of talent. So we have all these people from different walks of life, different ethnic groups, and just different skill levels. And we get to really learn from each other. So that's really rewarding at the end of the day. The least favorite part of my job is probably no day is ever the same. So I know that for some people that's really great, but I like to plan and I like to be ready. So it's really hard to plan and be ready for anything when you don't know what that thing is. It just really keeps you on your toes. It can be really challenging for some, especially if you're a planner like me. I wanted to work in a field of science because I always had a curious nature, but then I always knew that my skill set was geared towards people. So I wanted to figure out a way to kind of marry up both of them, my desire to understand the field of science as well as my skill set and being able to connect and work with people. I found this opportunity whereas though it allowed me to nurture both sides of it, as well as expand upon my natural curiosity for the world of science. It's been an awesome experience for me, as well as eye-opening. It also gave me the ability to not only just change my life, but to really educate people about the field of science, and knowing that there's a really broad spectrum that's within this field. It's definitely a multidisciplinary type of career, or type of field, I should say. And I think as long as you have a desire and a wonder for it, there's room, no matter, what the title may be or what skill set you have. So how did I overcome stereotypes as a Black woman in a workplace? We live in a world where so people like to put labels on you, before they even know you. I never let those labels or those thoughts, really affect me, because I know that they weren't true, and you have to know and feel it, for yourself that they're not true, and even if that takes, taking on the mindset of I'm going to prove them wrong, then you do that. Whatever you need to do to make you feel, that you belong there, because you do. And for me, how I navigated that is I just went in there being myself. I showed them who I was, what my capabilities are, and I let those things speak for themselves, and ultimately that is what gains you respect. That is what helps you to move forward, in the workforce in general. I would tell 14-year-old Robin, don't limit yourself. Don't put yourself in a box, and don't feel like your environment where you are at that time has to be the end all of the be all. Have a wanderlust for life. Go out and see, what else is in that big world. How can you impact it? And, if you want stars, you find which ones that you want and you reach up there and you grab them and you take a hold of them. The most exciting part about my work experiences is just being able to say that, hey, I helped people along the way. I think that's something to really be proud of, and also to say that's now a part of my legacy. That even if it's just one person that I was able to help, that made an impact on somebody's life. And if that becomes the lasting impression of me that they remember, then it's worth it. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions about Gravity or HR, please make sure that you talk with your teacher.